Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Well, as the title of today's video sort of alludes to, why these sets won't stop going up in value. It's probably one of the biggest questions I get asked. Has Evolving Skies finished? Am I better to buy Evolving Skies versus, say, buying, a set like Silver Tempest or Paldea Evolve? Do those sets have more chance of doubling in price quicker than what Evolving Skies has doubling in price? They're very, very valid questions and, perfectly reasonable questions for the community and investors and collectors alike to ask. So on this whole topic, I guess what we're going to go down is a bit of a rabbit hole today. I suppose it's going to be a bit of a investing in collectibles 101 sort of lesson with a fair bit of, I suppose, investing sort of talk involved in it. So on that, we often hear this price floor and price ceiling sort of terms being thrown around, and maybe they're sort of used wrongly in the Pokemon investing space because really, a price ceiling is actually generally a group or government involved price where they go, you know what, you can't charge any more than this because even if, demand outweighs supply, we don't want pricing to get to an unreasonable price essentially. We've seen this probably on things like rental markets where I guess a lot of it's privatized now, but there's lots of times where the government has imposed a price ceiling on certain things. Whether it's fuel, for example, we don't want our population just finding it impossible to get around. So things for the most part get capped at a certain price. So when we're talking price ceiling, I guess it gets used a little bit incorrectly in the Pokemon card investing space. Really, I suppose the correct term is just what's the maximum price something can get to. It feels like sometimes the pricing for a set, whether it's a booster box or a booster pack or a 3-pack blister or an elite trainer box or a Pokemon Center elite trainer box, that price maxes out. So when it comes to collectibles, I think really, generally speaking, there's 5 things that make them worth something. And if one of these 5 things shifts a little bit, we can end up getting a change in price. So, when people ask that question, what's going to go up quicker, Evolving Skies booster box or Paldea Evolve booster box? Like I said, it's a very valid question. I guess you really need to drill into these 5 things, multiples of these 5 things, or at least one of these 5 things to see why they go up in value. Now, it's a very weird concept, isn't it? You buy a sealed pack of Pokemon cards, for argument's sake, in a booster box, and eventually over time it goes up in value. And we never actually sit back and go, well, what are the actual mechanics in play there that make it go up in value? And that's what I'm going to delve into today. So to summarize the 5, and I'll go into a bit of detail and define them a little bit. I think it's provenance, rarity, condition, quality, and taste. And those 5 things, provenance, rarity, condition, quality, and taste, they're generally what makes something collectible valuable. And the more it ticks off in those criteria, or the higher it ranks out of 10 in those criteria, generally the more collectible and more valuable it'll become. So let's talk through them in a little bit more detail and relate them to sealed Pokemon card investing and see where it goes. And, the whole idea behind the thumbnail in this video of, Evolving Skies, 151, Team Up even, those sets haven't stopped. In fact, 151 hasn't even got started. Evolving Skies, I can tell you, hasn't even got started in its price raising. Evolving Skies has a decently bigger total set value, particularly top 10 hit value, than what Team Up does. I'm telling you now, Evolving Skies hasn't stopped. That train is still going to go. I said it 2 months ago when it was $600 a box. It isn't getting any cheaper. I can tell you now why. I don't even know what it's at. I haven't looked. Is it at 800, 700, 750, 850? I don't know. If it's at 800, for argument's sake, it hasn't stopped. Same thing for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet 151, Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes, for argument's sake. They haven't stopped. They're just getting started in price rising. And let's talk through these 5 things. So provenance is one that maybe doesn't really relate to the Pokemon card investing space, only on a few unique occasions. So, provenance is where did it come from, who owned it, who experienced it, what historical significance does it have, that lustre around it, I guess. And when it comes to sealed Pokemon card investing, unless it's like a first edition base set booster box, there's not really much going on. You could argue that provenance could relate to things like trophy cards. They have some, even like the Pokemon Snap cards, they have some story behind them. Someone's experienced it. Someone's come first in it. Someone's been there in that tournament way back when in the late 90s and won those trophy cards. There's some experience behind it. Really, with modern sealed Pokemon card products, there's no experience behind it. So I don't think we can really include that. But I just wanted to talk you through that as one of the 5 things that make a collectible value. The next one, rarity. Now, obviously, this comes into massive effect and massive play in the sealed Pokemon card investing space. Because essentially, when we look at sealed Pokemon card investing, when printing has stopped for a sealed booster box, for argument's sake, it's only going to get rarer. Why? Because supply will reduce. Supply reduces when more people open it. Therefore, if you've got a sealed box day by day, essentially, it's getting a little bit rarer as a sealed product. Year by year, it's getting a lot rarer as a sealed product. So when I say Evolving Skies hasn't stopped, its rarity as a sealed product is only getting more and more. Now, people aren't just going to leave them sealed forever and a day. I don't know how many boxes were printed. It would well and truly be in the millions of booster boxes of Evolving Skies printed. How many are left sealed? Anyone's guess. I'm just plucking a number out there. I'm not even saying this is in the realm of being close. But let's say there's 100,000 Evolving Skies booster boxes unopened. And let's say in 12 months' time, for argument's sake, 15,000 of those get open. We're left with 85,000 boxes left sealed. Let's say in another year after that, another 12,000 get opened. So we're left with 73,000 boxes left. And then in 5 years' time, another 40,000 of those have been opened, and we're left with somewhere in the vicinity of 30,000 Evolving Skies booster boxes left sealed in the world. See what I mean? Year on year, it's getting rarer and rarer. So if supply reduces, we're going to see an increase in rarity. And if we see an increase in rarity, generally we see an increase in price. It's why sets like Rebel Clash and Sword and Shield base are worth money at all, or why they've gone up in price, is simply because of that. Lower supply at initial launch, so lower print runs, and a lot got opened. It did, because it was a new era, it was the first Nintendo Switch game, people were opening them. There isn't a great deal of supply left in relative terms for a lot of modern booster boxes of Sword and Shield base and Rebel Clash. They're not a great set in any way, shape or form, but they're somewhat rare compared to a lot of modern booster boxes. So that's why I guess the argument of Evolving Skies, 151 Pokemon Center Elite Trainer boxes, even Team Up, that they're not going anywhere. That price isn't going to slow down. You think Team Up's still going to be, what is it up to now? $2,500 US a box? Do you think Team Up is still going to be a $2,500 box in 5 years' time? It's only going to be rarer. Condition. Now, this is one I don't think you can really relate to the sealed collection. Of course, condition matters with a sealed collectible. Most people that buy a case of booster boxes, condition is going to be pretty damn good, isn't it? It probably is a bit more related to vintage boxes. A mint condition vintage sealed box is going to be worth more than a dented up, banged up, sealed vintage box, even though it might still be in its wrapper. If the corners are dented in, the colours are faded on the box, for argument's sake, it's not going to be worth as much as a mint condition copy. You can probably say condition, of course, comes more into play with singles. Like, we know full well that a PSA 10 first edition Charizard holds like a 9 times premium over a PSA 9 first edition base set Charizard. So condition's really, really important in singles, of course. It's not so much, or it doesn't so much come into play with sealed. Quality. This is an important one. Now, quality, you'd think of, oh, isn't that condition, like the quality of it? Well, no, I think when we're talking quality, if we relate it to the Pokemon card investing space, quality really is, in my opinion, how good the set is. And look, this can change. Community sentiment, and this is the 5th one that I'll get into very shortly, community sentiment and prices towards a set and the singles inside it can really change over time. And, we've seen this in a lot of sets. We've seen this in sets, particularly the final Sun and Moon sets, like Cosmic Eclipse, and even Team Up, for argument's sake. A lot of those big chase cards inside the set weren't all that I shouldn't say popular. They were still popular, but they weren't all that valuable. They certainly weren't as valuable as what they are now. And as a result, you know, quality for sets can change over time, but we can all tell when a set comes out. Like when Evolving Skies, for argument's sake, come out, everyone went, wow, like that is a damn good looking Pokemon card. You got the main chase in Umbreon, you got Rayquaza, you got Dragonite, you got other evolutions. It's like an evolutions hybrid dragon set, which it was, obviously 3 Japanese sets put together. And what can go wrong there, really? Like an evolution set combined with a dragon-based set, you can't lose, can you? And when it comes to Surging Sparks, for argument's sake, we've essentially got a Pikachu-based set fused with a dragon-based set. Now, that's not as good as an evolutions-based set fused with a dragon set from 2 Japanese sets, but it ain't far off. I'm not saying Surging Sparks is as good as Evolving Skies, but look at the demand we've had for it so far. You know, the quality of the set is really, really important. That's why I talk about total set value, top hit, so top chase card, top 5 chase cards, top 10 chase cards. Those things will really matter for the future value of a booster box. I think you're kidding yourself if you don't think it is. Now, that's not to say rarity doesn't come into play. Like I said, that's why Sword and Shield base and Rebel Clash booster boxes are worth more than a set like Lost Origin even. Well, I think Sword and Shield base is. But over time, in 10 years' time, do you think a Sword and Shield base booster box is going to be worth more than Lost Origin? I'd be very surprised if it was. And finally, taste. And I think when we transfer this into Pokemon card world, it's community sentiment and community opinion towards a set. If that is strong, it's going to drive demand. We almost get this herd mentality where people will rush towards a set because the rest of the herd's doing it. I almost feel like that's happening a little bit with Surging Sparks at the moment. There's no denying it's a good set. I think it's an A-tier set. That's my personal take on it. I think it's the best Scarlet and Violet main series set we've had so far. Now, some people disagree with that. Some people go Paldea Evolve's better. Some people say Twilight Masquerade's better. Some people say both of those sets are better and Surging Sparks is third. I think it's the best main set we've had so far from Scarlet and Violet. I think it's better than Twilight Masquerade, and I think it's better than Paldea Evolve. Controversial, maybe, but it's an opinion. You're allowed to have an opinion. It's like some people say LeBron's better than MJ, and other people say MJ's the GOAT and he's better than LeBron. It's opinion. That's what we do as humans. 151, on the other hand, we'll see what happens with Surging Sparks singles prizes, but I still think 151 is probably a little bit better. And look at community sentiment. Again, while we're on the topic of 151, look at community sentiment and opinion towards 151. It brought so many people back into the hobby, and that boosts up price. So provenance, rarity, condition, quality, and taste. All those things can have an impact on future sealed pricing of products. Now, when it comes to those 3 that I've got on the cover, like I'm saying, they're just not done yet. They're only going to get rarer. The community sentiment for them, I think, is going to remain super strong, particularly 151 and Evolving Skies. They're just not stopping. The train on those is not stopping. Hopefully, I had to say hopefully you've learned something, because it almost feels a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but hopefully you've got something out of this video. And I've had a big week of filming Pokemon card investing videos. I think I've done 5 days in a row. That's well and truly a record for me. I'm going to put the feed up a little bit. I'll have a video back Sunday, Australian Eastern Standard Time, which is going to be 3 days away. So hopefully everyone can hold out until then. I'm Michael. This is PokeOz, and I'll catch everyone next time.